Ahoy mates, and welcome to 10 Things Among Us Needs in 2021. First, I want to say that a lot of these things have been brought up already, but I'm bringing them up again mostly to emphasize how much we actually need them in the game, and to also try to add some of my own thoughts or ideas on the topic. What I won't be talking about, however, is things like roles, game modes, mods being added to the game, etc. As much as I like these things too, I'd like the focus of this video to be more about adding gameplay mechanics and tweaks to the base game before going into other things that would take away time from the things on this list. The list is in no particular order, but I did put the things I have less input on at the beginning and the things I want to elaborate more on closer to the end. I'd also like to give a huge shout out to my boy Japoopster for giving me the idea to do a list like this and giving me something to put my brain to work on that isn't hours of video games and video editing. So without further ado, let's get on with the list. I don't want to talk about achievements for too long, mostly because I'm not a fan of achievements in games, to be honest, and I don't really see the point. A lot of players who have played more than 100 hours would probably instantly unlock them if they're added, unless they made it so that you have to gain them all over again, in which case it would give some of the older players the incentive to keep playing the game if they've become bored with it or want a new challenge. That's really the only benefit I can see to adding this to the game, but I felt like I should include it since it's something players want in the game. So the matchmaking in Among Us isn't really something I've dealt with much, so I only have a few things to say about it. If you've ever tried to join a text lobby or you play on mobile and that's basically your only option, then you're aware of how difficult it can be to find a game sometimes with the current state of the servers. Either you try to join a game that says it has 6 players and the game is actually started already, or you wait a few seconds to connect and get timed out and have to look for another game. In some games, the match will start and 2 players get disconnected for some reason, and you either have to end the game so that they can rejoin or play on with 2 less players. That can get annoying pretty quickly. They could probably add in a better HUD for the matchmaking system as well, because the current one is clunky and outdated. I'm aware that this game was made by 3 people and it has simple graphics and a simple design, but with the recent popularity of the game bringing more people to it and more funds to the developers, it would be nice if they updated the servers to handle the large influx of new players and a better HUD to make it easier for those new players to navigate the game. One other thing that I'd like to mention is the game settings themselves. It'd be nice if they made it to where you can change maps or the number of imposters inside the lobby itself. Because right now when you join a game, you just have to roll with that map until the group changes lobbies or you decide to leave and join a different game. Changing maps is already a feature in the free play section, so I don't see why it would be hard to add it into the online version of the game.
In-game voice chat.
It really boils down to mostly that. As a crewmate who wants to win, you want to be able to get information around as quickly as possible, and the in-game text chat makes it almost impossible to do that effectively. Typing anything is going to be much slower than saying it, especially when you throw in the fact that some people don't type nearly as fast as others, myself included, which puts them at a disadvantage when that's their only means of communication. Some sort of in-game voice chat would solve that problem and make the game easier to play for newer players who are somehow unaware of Discord or would rather not use an outside source to speak in the game. I'm not sure if this is going to happen at any point, but it doesn't seem too far-fetched considering the proximity chat mod lets ghosts talk to each other even during meetings and live players can't hear them. So that shows that having 2 separate voice chats for live players and ghosts is possible. Maybe they could even incorporate a walkie-talkie system, kind of like in Project Winter, so that the imposters can communicate between themselves. That might be a little too much to ask for, but some kind of voice chat system needs to be in this game. So these things are being added to the game soon with the new airship map that should be coming this year, but I wanted to share my thoughts on them. From what I can see in the teaser video, they're adding new animations and skins with that map, but it would be nice if they added more than just a couple. As someone who's been killed a lot of times as crewmate, seeing the same old animations over and over again can be a bit dull, so it would be nice if they could add some variety to spice things up a little bit. There are a couple of creators like H2O Delirious and Cartoons who have added their own custom animations to their videos during editing, and it would be cool if the devs took a page from their book and added maybe a dozen more animations to the game. And with the game's art being so quote-unquote simple, I don't think it would be hard to come up with new skin ideas to give players some other items they can mix and match together to get a unique look. All you really have to do is look at some of the custom skins some creators have made where they give the crew different outfits like superheroes and other game characters to see that it can be done. It's a fun idea that I hope they make happen because I think a lot of players would like some more stuff to wear. They already have one pack of skins that you can purchase, not including the ones you get for buying the game on mobile or PC, so I don't think most players would have an issue with other $2 packs that include the same amount of items in each of them. It doesn't sound unreasonable to me, and it's more money that the devs can use to either put into adding more things to Among Us or to work on Among Us 2 if that's their goal. So I'm pretty sure something like this is being added into the game as well, but I'd like to stress it anyways. Being able to add and invite other players to your game via some kind of in-game menu would be very helpful to players who are trying to fill their games with players they know they'll have fun with. Because most of us, and by that I mean anyone who's not a famous YouTuber or Twitch streamer, either play with friends exclusively or they join a game with randoms by joining a text chat lobby in-game or by joining a Discord server and finding an open game and hoping that the people there are somewhat competent. And after a while that can be taxing because randoms in this game are for the most part terrible. And that's not to say I'm the greatest player in Among Us, but the chances of getting a full lobby of people who want to win as crew are almost zero. Most games tend to have 2 or 3 crewmates actually trying to piece things together while the rest are tunnel visioning their tasks and getting no information around them, or genuinely making it harder for the rest to figure things out, either by talking over everyone with the most irrelevant information or third impostering and putting suspicion on another crewmate because they think they're disguised toast when in reality they're not even bread, and it can be difficult to win when players on your team are actively trying to lose, whether it be intentional or not. So it would be nice to be able to find people in game and send them a direct invite without having to send them to code through Discord or other means. This would also benefit greatly from the in-game voice chat if they were both added to the game. People who don't want their Discord names broadcast to every random they play with in private matchmaking servers could rely on the in-game tools to talk to other players, and if they want to continue playing with them later, could add those players and none of their information has been given out to anyone. Also, being able to report players for cheating, griefing, or sneaking through the word filter to make their name offensive would be great too. I've been in a couple lobbies and players have names that would get caught, but they take out or change a letter and the only real consequence for them doing it is getting banned from that particular game, while they're free to just join another game with the same name. Maybe there can be an option to set players' names to their color instead of their username so that players won't see offensive names. Players already call each other by their color mostly, so that wouldn't really change much. Now their name would just match what they're being called anyways. I'm sure most of you will agree with this one. No matter how you choose to play the game, whether it's on mobile with text chat or on PC using Discord, everyone hates the player who joins the game and immediately disconnects because they didn't get imposter. Not only is that super salty to leave because you have to use your brain, but it puts the other crewmates at a disadvantage because there's now one less of them that the imposters have to kill to win. Currently, the only penalty for disconnecting from games multiple times is a time ban, and smart gamers are going to know how to counteract a time ban, considering the game is on PC and mobile where time can be manipulated. I've heard this mentioned in another video, and it would be perfect if they made this the new penalty, but what they mentioned was lowering the person's chances of being imposter with every game that they leave instead of giving them a time ban. That would encourage those people who want to leave because they're crew to second guess that decision before leaving their team high and dry, because their chances of being imposter will be lower in the next game. So we're going to start getting into the things that I personally would like to see added the most, starting with this one. Being a ghost in Among Us sucks. After floating through the map and finishing your task, there's really nothing left for ghosts to do besides following other players around to see what happens, or just sit and wait for the game to end and the next one to begin. It would be nice if they added something in the game for ghosts to do to help their teammates as crew and as imposters. A couple of things that could be added are a speed boost that either a crewmate or imposter could use. Imposters could use it to help their alive teammate catch up to a crewmate that's just out of reach, or crewmates could use it to help that player escape the grasp of their killer. Maybe dead crewmates could leave clues or have a way to help their alive crew find the imposter. One thing I've thought of is maybe a dead crewmate could have the ability to shine a light on the imposter for a second or two, so that the killer might be forced to either chase down and kill the crewmate that saw and risk getting caught, or let them possibly reach the button and have to explain themselves during a meeting. Maybe even simple things like being able to haunt the imposters and make them freeze in place for a few seconds, or change their movement controls would be really fun additions. Could you imagine the clips we get with proximity chat and imposters having different effects being done to them while they're talking to crewmates and trying not to look suspicious? Maybe ghosts could have the ability to fix sabotages 1 or 2 times per game from the grave, or give another crewmate a protective aura when they see that they're close to an imposter, so that if the imposter tries to kill them, the button goes gray and they're unable to be killed for a short amount of time. All of these things would be great if they were added to the game and would add a lot of variety to how players can customize their games and have fun trolling their friends. What I mean by unique tasks is another option to the game to go alongside long, short, and common tasks that gives crewmates a task that isn't included in those lists, or a random task from those lists to go along with the ones they already have. I'm going to include a list of tasks for each map, and I'll put it up on the screen now, but you'll see that even if you max out the tasks on each map, there aren't a lot of them, and some of them repeat from map to map, so they're not really unique to the maps themselves. It would be nice if they added a couple new spots around the current maps with new tasks to do. There are plenty of places they could use. On Skeld, right above the top engine on the left hand side next to the imposter vent, there's a small walkway with only a power diverter box there. In communications, there's a tape recorder and 2 computers on desks that aren't used for anything that they can add tasks to. On Polis and Laboratory, there's a table of beakers and test tubes that aren't used for anything that they could possibly use. In the specimen room, there's basically the same thing, but they look more like oxygen tanks or something. On Mirror, there's the computers in the office or the different bookshelves and storage. There are plenty of places and things already in the game that they can incorporate tasks to if they really wanted to make it happen. I'm not sure how much they want to expand the current maps while also considering making another game altogether, but adding more tasks to the game gives it more playability and keeps people interested in the game. Now we're getting to my 2 personal favorite ideas on this list. So with Imposter Tasks, the idea is obvious. Give imposters things to do other than walk around faking tasks, calling sabotages, and killing crewmates. And I don't mean a bunch of tasks either. I mean just 2 or 3 to add something else to the game. Imposter tasks can be completely different tasks from crew, or they can be in the same spots, but the reverse of what the crew would be doing. For instance, an imposter task could be something like hack the mainframe, so they have to go to Shields and do that task, but instead of turning them all white, they have to turn them all red. Or maybe poison the samples, where they do the sample task, but have to poison one and wait for it to fully saturate the sample before coming back. Maybe instead of wires, they could add a new mini game that looks like this game called Pipe Flow, where you have to connect pipes with the same color without overlapping any of the other colors. It's basically the node task and the wires task put together, so I don't see this being too hard to pull off. Making them completely separate tasks from the crewmate tasks would be more interesting, because they would have to be stealthy when they try to complete them, or else risk getting seen on the task by a crewmate. This would be fun to add because it will make the imposter a little more cautious about their movements and pay more attention to their surroundings, and can lead to some entertaining moments. And possibly a lot of anxiety for people who already aren't fans of having to sneak around and lie to everyone as imposter. A neat idea would be to have imposter tasks that could reset crewmate tasks where they have to restart that task if it has multiple parts. Take the sample task I just mentioned. Instead of having to come back to collect a poison sample, maybe they can come up behind a crewmate who has started the task, ruin their reading, and when the player comes back, they get a message confirming their sample is corrupt and they have to restart the task and come back in 60 seconds. These could be done after a meeting, hopefully before the crewmate goes back to those areas to finish the task. That would, in effect, lengthen the game by at least another long task so that the imposters would have an extra opportunity to win. Alright, on to my favorite idea on this list. I have to thank my friend Japoopster again for mentioning this one to me because as soon as he did, I instantly had some ideas on what could be done. So the basic idea for this is while you're playing a normal game of Among Us, randomly throughout the game an event can trigger that will, like the title says, affect both sides, imposters and crewmates. These would act like sabotages where any player can fix them, but the difference is that they must be done or a random player will be lost, no matter if they're good or bad. So this would incentivize the imposters to work together with the crew so that they don't risk losing their partner or losing the game if their partner is already gone. Between the two of us spitballing ideas, we actually came up with 5 different ideas for what could be done to add something extra to the game. So for the first one is an incoming asteroid impact that could break through the hull of the ship or impact the planet Apolis and kill a random player. The screen would zoom in slightly and shake, and a warning message could appear on screen telling players of the doom that's about to rain down on them. Every map has an asteroids task, so it wouldn't be too far-fetched to make 2 or 3 players have to complete the asteroids task within a certain amount of time to keep from losing a player. Or they could add some kind of mini game that arms the ship or planet's defenses so that the asteroids get blown down before the timer runs out. The next idea we thought of was maybe an incoming alien attack where, again, players would get a notification saying that there's an incoming alien attack and the defenses need to be set up to keep them at bay. The screen could flash red until the task is complete. Maybe they could have a small mini game that sets a satellite to their location and then a 2-man task to arm the turrets and shoot them down, kind of like the asteroids event that I mentioned earlier, but with a timer or another mini game added in. Another one is that maybe there's a fire and players have to go to one of the rooms and seal it off before the CO2 emissions kill one of the players. The screen could go dark and smoke could cover up the edges of the screen, covering everyone's vision slightly. It could honestly happen in any room and just have the doors on cooldown so that it can be open later in the game and players aren't left with tasks in a room that they can't get into. The doors on Skeld are already on a cooldown, so they could basically do the same thing but with a longer cooldown to keep players out to simulate letting the toxic fumes be removed first. Something similar could be that an alien virus gets on board and players get a notification saying that someone on board is contaminated and everyone has to do the medbay scan to see who has it. And then, once the player has been identified, they can be quarantined inside of medbay until a timer runs out and the doors open so that they can move around the map freely again. The screen effect for this one could be green goo or slime covering the edges of the screen until the person with the virus is identified and quarantined. The last idea for a random event was the ship goes through a wormhole and the pressure is starting to mess with the ship and its inhabitants, and everyone must get the ship back to normal before someone dies from the exposure. I think in this one it would be fun to maybe mess with the game's mechanics and invert the controls or warp the screen and have colors change around so that it actually looks like they're experiencing something beyond their control. All of these ideas would make things very interesting and keep players wondering what could be happening around the next corner. Alright, so the ideas on this list are intended to give the game a little more variety, to add some more fun to an already fun game, and to make it easier to navigate and have fun with your friends in Among Us. If you have any comments about the ideas in this video, or maybe have some ideas that you'd like to see in the game, put them in the comments below. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed and share with your friends so this video can make it around and hopefully see some of these changes get implemented at some point. Thank you guys for watching, and if you're new around here, make sure to hit subscribe to join our crew and get notified of every video I upload. I try to upload 3 times a week or more between Among Us and other games, so there's plenty of variety and lots more content coming in the future. There's also a link to my Discord channel in the description if you'd like to join and get an invite when I play Among Us or other multiplayer games, and to keep up to date with all of my videos. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.